Okay, so
The first part's going to be interesting, by the way.
that's all right. Actually, I'll use this board again. Let me show you all of the characteristics of the intervals. We'll start with the closest one. Now, intervals scare some people and they seem confusing. They can be confusing, but there are some things that are really simple. And let me tell you some really simple thing about intervals. There's two parts to the word interval, okay? The first part is the number, and that number really has nothing else to do with anything except the alphabet.
Alphabet.
Okay? How easy can that be? For instance, if I say,
Quite
how far
easy.
is it from C to G? You can count, and by the way, when you count, this is also really important. You always must start with the bottom note. If I say C to G, C is 1. C, D, E, F, G, it is some sort of a fifth. That's all there is to it. Okay? Now, in order to determine what kind of a fifth it would be, because it could be how many different kinds of fifths could it be? Three. What would those be? Very good. Perfect, augmented, and diminished. In order to determine those qualities of the fifth, then we also have to know how many half steps that is. We have to know a little bit about our scale, about our chromatic scale, things like that, okay? But if you are just wanting to know what a fifth is, you can just count the alphabet, okay? Well, let's start with this now. Let's say C to D. We want to know what kind of an interval that is. Count that up real quick. 2. Very good. See how easy this is? All right. Now, but it could be what? It's a second, so it could be what?
Minor or major?
It could be minor or major. The way you determine whether it's a minor or a major interval is a minor second is the smallest interval. Remember, my daughter got somebody in trouble for saying that, but you're going to take it easy on me, right? No. The minor second is the smallest possible interval. That's really not true. Of course, there are quarter tones. The only way that, but when we talk about the piano, let's say, or the bells, the smallest interval is the minor second. Okay, you'll forgive me if I just say that.
Generally recognized interval in Western music.
Thank you. Generally recognized in Western music, it is the half step. And that is, if you think of the piano, that is 2 keys side by side, which would include one of them being white and the next one being black. Unless you are at early food or breakfast cereal, and then it would be 2 white keys side by side. All right, now, this one is not side by side, is it? Because there is not only a C and a D, there is a black key in between there, which means there's another note, either a C sharp or a D flat. That makes this a major second. Okay? Now, when you're going to write a couple of things for me, not only on tests, but on, what do you call those other things? Exercises? There. And so just so that I don't ever mark something wrong that you actually had right, because I feel bad. It actually makes me want to die when I mark something wrong that you had right. And so to avoid that, if you're going to say it's a major second, would you make the M twice as big as the 2?
That's a 2.
But now let's talk about this interval, a C to a D flat. That is the smallest possible interval, isn't it? All right, that's a minor second. So I'm going to put a little M here and then write a big 2. Notice that my 2 is twice the size of my M.
And what was that one called again?
That's a minor second. Minor second is the smallest interval. Major second is the, it's just a larger version of the second. All right, now, eventually, probably next lesson, like tomorrow, we'll probably, with the choir people here, we will go through and we will imagine some songs that include these intervals, all of them, and that will also kind of build a repertoire for you of what does a perfect fourth sound like? Oh, it sounds like Here Comes the Bride. What does a perfect fifth sound like? Oh, it sounds like Star Wars or something like that. Okay? So that you can possibly build a life. All right, now, so the smallest one is the minor second, and then there's a major second. Now let's talk about half steps. If a minor second is the smallest one, that must be a half step, right? One half step. Major second, we call it a whole step, which is really 2 half steps, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, let's mess with our mind a little bit. C to D flat we decided was a minor second. I'm going to tell you that C to C sharp is not a minor second. And you're going to say it sounds just the same. How can it be different?
Because it's the same note. Sort of.
It is, the C sharp and the D flat are the same note.
No, the C sharp and the C
I
are
see.
both C's.
Okay, that is correct. They are the same alphabet letter. And if you have the same alphabet letter, it's a first, or a unison, or a prime. You have all those options.
So it would be an augmented first?
It would be an augmented first.
Okay.
The only thing that keeps it from being what it sounds like, which is a major second, is that any C to any C is not a second, it's a first. Unless it's low C to a high C and then it's an octave, okay? So this would be an augmented first. You could also call it an augmented prime or an augmented unison. Okay, does that make sense?
Yep.
Good. All right. After that we have thirds. And thirds usually are both on a line or both on a space. And they're not hard to recognize right away. But now what we have to determine, there of course will be 2 thirds. There will be a minor and a major. One of these, let me write them both. One of these is a major third and one of them is a minor third. The minor third is the next one in line. It has 3 half steps. Minor third, 3 half steps. Okay? Let's figure out which one of those would be. Now, here's how you count, but you have to be really careful. Remember, you are not really counting notes. You are counting the spaces between notes. And it's too bad they chose the word interval, because interval really just means space. Okay? We could be actually talking about a major space or a minor space here, but they wanted to use the word interval.
Outer space.
Outer space, yes. But anyway, so when we say E to G is that 3 half steps, we have to identify them by the minor seconds that are in there. So we start out by saying there's E to F natural, that's 1. There's F natural to F sharp, that's 2. There's F sharp to G, that's 3. That's what makes it a minor third, because it has 3 half steps. If you count all the notes in there, you can foul yourself up. E, F, F sharp, G comes out to be 4. You say, oh, that's a major third. Don't do that, okay? Remember, you're not counting the note